This is the Weather Xtreme video, the morning edition for Monday, October 13th. I'm James Spann. Clearly, the focus here will be on the severe weather threat for the state late this afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow morning. A lot of things to talk about, so let's take a look. There is the big trough west of the state, and that clearly is going to set the stage for weather issues around here over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours. A lot of good dynamic support, but things are quiet at daybreak. That was the radar at 4:52. At that point, there was a flash flood warning for parts of Franklin, Colbert, Lauderdale counties, but that rain is moving out. The flash flood warning has expired by the time you watch this. However, there is a flash flood watch for parts of North Alabama. The watch is basically north of a line from Millport to Jasper to Aniana to Fort Payne. And many parts of North Alabama picked up over 4 inches of rain yesterday. And additional amounts of 3 inches are possible, and needless to say, that could create some flooding issues. And then off to the west, you see a number of severe weather watches, including this one. This is a tornado watch until 11 this morning for parts of eastern Texas and the Arklatex region around Shreveport and Texarkana. That looks fairly linear, but there could be a few embedded tornadoes within that line. And this is the overall risk for today and tonight. There is an enhanced moderate risk of severe weather, basically for the Mississippi River, from near Vicksburg up to the southern tip of Illinois. And the moderate risk, you've got places like Greenville, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas. And that's where there could be a few significant tornadoes later today. And then surrounding that, we have the slight risk, the standard risk, and that includes all 67 Alabama counties. Now, this is the tornado possibilities. Clearly, the higher threat will be around Memphis, Little Rock, down through the Mississippi Delta. We have a 5% risk over the northwestern corner of Alabama. That's where the better chance of a tornado will be in our state, and the amounts drop off to 2% as you go farther east. In terms of damaging wind, almost a 50-50 chance of any one spot getting damaging wind of 58 miles an hour or greater in that moderate risk. And again, that includes Memphis and Little Rock, Monroe, Louisiana, Vicksburg, Mississippi. And the amounts drop off to 15% for a pretty good chunk of Alabama. And then tomorrow, this is the day 2 outlook. There is the standard slight risk for East Alabama and points east. And remember, this outlook kicks in tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock local time. So after 7 a.m., the risk will be over the far eastern side of the state. And we'll take a very detailed look at this here in just a second. And this is the other issue. It's the rain. I know if you're in places like Birmingham, you're thinking, what's the deal? Well, just north of Birmingham, there were some huge soakers over the weekend. And again, we've had some reports from Cullman County of 5 inches of rain over the weekend. In additional amounts here, you can see between 2 and 3 inches are likely pretty much statewide. And that could create some flooding problems north of Birmingham where the rain came down over the weekend. And the bulk of that is going to be over the next 36 hours. After that, we'll be dry for a while. And let's not forget the tropics. Look at that. All of a sudden, we have a couple of tropical storms in the Atlantic Basin. We have one near the Leeward Islands and one that is well east of Bermuda. The northernmost storm is Tropical Storm Faye. That produced a wind gust of 82 miles an hour at Bermuda over the weekend. That's moving east, away from the United States. And this is Gonzalo. This is the system near the Leeward Islands that will be clipping the eastern part of Puerto Rico as a strong tropical storm late tonight, and then moving up into the open Atlantic as a hurricane. And again, our friends in Bermuda will have to keep an eye on this. This will be a slow mover. You can see by Friday night, early Saturday morning, the thing is still south of Bermuda, but the big trough should recurve this out into the Atlantic. No threat to the United States. All right, let's focus on this severe weather threat. This is the GFS, the Global Forecast System, valid today at 1 o'clock local time. And this is at 500 millibars. Where the pressure is at that level, that's about 18 to 20,000 feet off the ground. You can see that large-scale trough digging down through Texas. The surface low in response to that is near the Oklahoma-Arkansas border at midday today, with very active weather west of the state. For us, the morning should be quiet. Now, this is just after midnight tonight, 1 a.m. Tomorrow morning, the surface low is 998 millibars near St. Louis, and we're getting into some very active weather. Notice the tight pressure gradient. It's going to be very windy, even away from storms. And then this is tomorrow. The trough is going slightly negative tilt. The axis still west of the state. And the surface low is south of Chicago. And the storms should be over East Alabama at this point, probably moving out of the state. All right, let's get into some mesoscale modeling. This is the high-resolution HRRR today at 5 o'clock. And understand the main squall line is still way west of the state over Arkansas, but this is suggesting a number of storms form way ahead of that, and most of them west of I-65. And these will have to be monitored very carefully for signs of storm rotation, as that might be a window where we could see a few isolated tornadoes as early as late this afternoon over West Alabama. And again, these will drop very heavy amounts of rain. Now, this is just after midnight tonight. This is 1 a.m., and you can see two distinct bands of storms. The main squall line is nearing the Alabama-Mississippi border at 1 a.m., and with that, the main threat's going to be from strong, maybe damaging straight-line winds. We've got storms over East Alabama, way ahead of that main line, but they will probably be under severe limits at that point. I would say at this stage of the game, the tornado threat will be relatively small, not zero. And then this is 11 a.m. tomorrow. The main squall line is just east of Birmingham, approaching Anniston and Gadsden. So the deal is this thing is going to kind of cut off into this upper low, and that's going to just keep everything slow moving. Oftentimes, squall lines race through the state. Not this time. If you're in Anniston and Gadsden, you might be watching severe weather in West Alabama for many, many hours before it reaches you. And again, this is suggesting East Alabama might be mid to late morning tomorrow before you have problems. And again, at this stage of the game, the tornado threat is very small. There could be some strong gusty winds, but I would say the severe weather threat for East Alabama is considerably smaller than the threat for West Alabama. We'll check some of the severe weather parameters, and I picked 1 a.m. for this. This is just after midnight tonight. If there's one limiting factor, it's this. The instability values are somewhat marginal, under 750 joules per kilogram, but in the cool season, in this time of the year, you can certainly have severe weather with numbers like that. And this is the impressive value here, the low-level jet. I mean, the wind fields are just screaming. This is at about 5,000 feet off the ground, where the pressure is 850 millibars, and you can see the winds exceed 50 knots over a pretty good chunk of North Alabama. It's not going to take a lot to get that down to the surface. And 50-knot winds, that's 58-mile-per-hour winds. And so at that line of storms, they could produce enough winds to knock down trees and power lines, clearly. And again, this is somewhat limiting. This is a number we like to look at for tornado possibilities. And again, remember, this is 1 a.m. The bulk shear between the surface and 925 millibars, the very low levels. And you really want to see those numbers up in the 30-knot range, and the numbers are clearly below that, but the helicity values are significant. This is the 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative helicity, but I clearly think the greatest tornado threat will be on the western third of the state after 5 o'clock today, maybe 5 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and then after that, it kind of evolves into more of a damaging wind event, although we can't rule out the chance of an isolated tornado after midnight. And finally, this is the EHI. This is the Energy Helicity Index. And you really want to see those numbers over 1 unit. And you do see that over Mississippi just after midnight in advance of the squall line. This is the forecast graphic from the National Weather Service. Our friends there put this out this morning at 4:52. And I think this looks pretty good. This is a good overall guideline. The higher probability of tornadoes will be in that red zone, and especially west of US 43 late this afternoon and tonight. The West Alabama storms 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. The Central Alabama storms places like Birmingham 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And then over on the eastern side of the state 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then this could change as this thing evolves tonight. But needless to say, the call to action is to be sure you can hear warnings, since this is going to be a late night, pre-dawn type thing. Weather radio is the baseline. And a good smartphone app like Weather Radio or MyWarn is the second layer. Sirens, forget about them. If you think you're going to hear a warning with an outdoor warning siren while you're home asleep, you have no hope. All right, this is Wednesday, and you can see the deal. This thing is really cut off into this large-scale upper low just north of the state, and that probably will keep Maybe some clouds over the northern third of the state Wednesday. And maybe even a few sprinkles or patches of light rain near the Tennessee border. I would say for Birmingham, it points south. The day Wednesday will be dry. The sky partly sunny. But north of Birmingham, it could be cloudy, cool, and maybe some drizzle in spots. And we probably won't get out of the 60s. Thursday, the upper low slowly lifts out. And Thursday should be a beautiful day. Bright sunshine, just gorgeous. Highs in the 70s, lows around 50, maybe 40s in spots. And this is Friday. Again, that is a delightful, perfect fall day. Doesn't get any better. This is race weekend at Talladega. I mean, they could not order better weather for that. Looks great. This is Saturday as the weekend begins. And by the way, you can see Gonzalo, the hurricane, off in the Atlantic. But for us, Saturday will be just gorgeous. Highs in the 70s, lows in the 50s, and the same thing for Sunday. So for race fans, football fans, whatever you want to do this weekend, delightful fall weather. And Monday of next week, a new trough is west of the state, evidence of rain breaking out over Texas and Arkansas, maybe Tennessee. And that might suggest our next chance of rain would be out there toward the middle part of that week. Go out there a few more days. This October 22nd, evidence of a tropical system just below Tampa Bay. How many of those have we seen off the GFS this season that never happen? And the end of the forecast, October 28th. Heights about where they should be, and that looks just gorgeous. Much of the country in a nice, quiet pattern. Temperatures for the next 15 days. We've got 180 on the board, and that's today. After that, no 80s. Highs 60s and 70s, lows 40s and 50s. And that's what you expect in the fall around here. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video today. We'll have notes in the blog. Next video, if we can, if weather allows, by 4 o'clock today. And, of course, throughout the day, frequent notes on the blog, alabamawx.com. And be sure and watch us this evening for updates on the television side. You can watch the live stream, or it's over the air, ABC 3340. And, of course, if we have tornado coverage, we go on the air, we stay on the air. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.